Democratic Senator Chris Coons of Delaware, who serves on the Judiciary Committee. And Senator, this was a stark, almost stunning statement from Congressman Gowdy, who was brought in to see the intelligence behind, the fact that this confidential source was sent to talk to Trump campaign officials after Republicans and the president have been saying we were spied on, we were spied on, we were spied on. Trey Gowdy saying, What do you make of it?
Well, John, I'm grateful that Congressman Trey Gowdy, Republican of South Carolina, stepped forward and made this important statement. He certainly demonstrated some partisan leanings in the past when he helped run the Benghazi hearings. He was an aggressive partisan against then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. In this matter, I think he's stepping forward and putting to rest the baseless allegations by President Trump. I'll remind you, unfortunately, our president has a long history of rolling out baseless accusations and conspiracy theories from his role before he was president in arguing that President Obama was not an American, to his claim right after the campaign that 3 million illegals had voted without any proof or evidence, to his claim that President Obama had tapped his phone in Trump Tower without any evidence. Frankly, this undermines the United States around the world. It suggests that we have a national leader who traffics in conspiracy theories. And so I'm frankly grateful to Congressman Gowdy that he has stepped forward and made such a clear and forceful statement.
But what are the chances, Senator, that this actually puts it to rest? Do you think this will actually keep the president or Rudy Giuliani or others from bringing this up again?
No, unfortunately, the president was right back at it, claiming without foundation that special counsel Robert Mueller is going to meddle in the 2018 elections. He just made that accusation on Twitter recently, and he continues to claim that the special counsel investigation is a quote-unquote rigged witch hunt. So I don't think this will slow him down at all. Let me just remind you and our viewers that the special counsel Robert Mueller is a lifelong Republican, nominated to be FBI director by a Republican president, unanimously confirmed by the Senate, and that the person supervising him, Rod Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General, a lifelong Republican, and the FBI Director, Chris Wray, a Republican, both of those gentlemen Trump nominees. So I don't see how he can credibly claim corruption in the FBI and that he's being framed by federal law enforcement. President Trump ran as a pro-law enforcement candidate, and I think his continued baseless attacks on law enforcement and the FBI is frankly very unhelpful. If the president is innocent, he should act like it and stop these attacks on the special counsel.
Senator Casey of Pennsylvania has suggested that, look, no one thinks that Robert Mueller will meddle in the 2018 election. The president is saying that is absurd. Yeah. Do you think that the special counsel needs to be sensitive about the timing of various releases that might come from his investigation as we get closer to the midterm election?
Yes, it is longstanding Department of Justice policy to not make major announcements around investigations in a way that might influence an election. There was widespread and bipartisan concern expressed about former FBI Director Comey's timing of his announcements about reopening an investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails just days before the 2016 general election. I'm confident Special Counsel Mueller will be very aware of and follow that longstanding Department of Justice policy.
What does that mean? Does that mean silent from, September till November?
Roughly. I'm not going to pick a specific date, but I would expect that if there's going to be bombshell announcements out of the Mueller investigation, we'll see them in the next 2 months, and we won't see big announcements in the weeks leading up to the midterm election.
And that is what you were calling for, too, just to be clear, correct?
Yeah, I think, yes.
Okay.
I believe it's important that the special counsel avoid any major announcements in the weeks before, the months before the midterm elections. And I fully expect him to follow that practice.
Let me ask you about what's going on in your committee right now, because you're a little bit of a back and forth between you and the committee chair, Chuck Grassley. You have suggested that Donald Trump Jr. needs to come back before the committee in a public setting to testify again about something he said behind closed doors when he said that no foreign government or foreigners have reached out to influence the campaign. He said no to you when you asked him that question. You suggest that could have been perjury or he could have been lying. At least he has to answer for it. Chuck Grassley says there could be an innocuous explanation for that. What's the upshot here?
Well, I respect the chairman. I appreciate that he recently gave a markup to my bipartisan bill with Senator Lindsey Graham, with Senator Tillis, and with Senator Booker. We got a markup of a bill that would protect the special counsel from being abruptly fired. Chairman Grassley supported that bill, so I'm grateful for his bipartisanship on that. On this matter, I think just reviewing these transcripts, which were publicly released by Chairman Grassley, there's an obvious tension with a recent report by the New York Times that Donald Trump Jr. met with representatives of of two Gulf nations who were offering to assist his father win the general election in 2016. So there might be an innocuous explanation. We won't know if we don't have him back in front of the committee to answer questions.
Are there inconsistencies with Glenn Simpson's testimony? Because Chairman Grassley says there were when he said he was, not being paid to do any research on President Trump after the election.
I think what's important is that we continue this investigation in a bipartisan way. The chairman has some questions he'd like to ask of a witness. I have questions I'd like to ask of a witness. My concern is that our partnership between the Democrats and Republicans on the Judiciary Committee seems to be grinding to a halt. The only congressional inquiry that seems to be continuing on a genuinely bipartisan basis is on the Intelligence Committee. The disadvantage there is that it's classified, it's not public. I think the Judiciary Committee has oversight responsibility for the Department of Justice, the FBI, and for potential obstruction. We should be continuing, and I think I'd welcome a chance to work further with the chairman on this.
All right, Senator Chris Coons of Delaware, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks, John, and welcome to New Day.
I appreciate it. Allison?
Okay, John.